Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us today. I just want to say it is my pleasure to be here today with Representative Murt and Representative Bloom and a number of other organizations to unveil one of the key initiatives to the Empowering Opportunities Gateways Out of Poverty initiative. It was an initiative that we started with the Policy Committee with the House Republican Caucus about a year and a half ago. We've been working on a lot of different proposals that we've heard about throughout that time frame with a singular focus of looking at where we are in America today. Here we are in the year 2015, and we are the most wealthy developed nation in the history of the free world, but yet we still have 46 million Americans living in poverty. So we sought to begin a discussion, a bipartisan discussion across Pennsylvania on finding better ways of helping folks transition out of a life of poverty to a life of self-sustainability. And throughout that time frame, we've had a number of ideas, comments, concerns expressed to us, but probably the very first one that was expressed to us when we started this initiative in July of 2013 was the benefits cliff effect. And when members of the House and staff members, members of the media, and nonprofit organizations went through a poverty simulator together here at the Capitol, afterwards, the Community Action Association of Pennsylvania did a presentation on the benefits cliff effect. And I will let Representative Bloom and Representative Murt talk a little bit more about it. But today's proposal and the goal of the proposal these two gentlemen have put together is to make sure we are not punishing folks for moving forward and moving up the ladder to success, and rewarding folks for working hard, playing by the rules, and helping them move to the dignity of providing for themselves and their own families. So I think today is a very momentous day as we move forward to transitioning folks to that true American dream of providing for themselves and their own families and living that dream that our founders talked about so many years ago. So with that, I'd like to introduce Representative Steve Bloom from Cumberland County.
Thank you to Leader Reed. And Leader Reed, we thank you so much for your leadership on this issue. And it's an original approach, a creative approach to solving some problems. And as Leader Reed mentioned, a bipartisan initiative. We've got, as I checked right before I came down here this morning, we have 20 Republicans and 10 Democrats co-sponsoring this bill already. So you can see it's already attracting support from both sides of the aisle here in the House. Currently, the way these benefits are set up for childcare, it's an all or nothing system. It's forcing parents to make a choice between the best of two bad situations. A parent could accept a $1 raise and become completely responsible for their child care payments, which they can't afford with just $1 more in pay, forcing the parent to either find other child care or stay at home and watch the child for themselves. If they stay home, of course they lose their job. Therefore, they make the whole issue of the raise completely moot. Parents' second option is to decline the raise and still remain able to work and keep their children in the same care and still continue to receive the same benefits. Inherently, many parents make the intentional and rational decision, given their circumstances, to decline the additional wages, to decline the additional earning potential, simply to keep their children in a care program while they work. In practice, this forces many parents to cap their own earning potential just to keep their benefits in place, therefore becoming long-term beneficiaries of the human services system. Our solution is to smooth off this child care benefits cliff. These benefit cliffs hurt especially middle-income families. For example, a single mother of two, for her, that cliff would appear when she reaches about $22 to $23 per hour. And with that in mind, this legislation would assist an estimated 12,569 families to get off that benefits cliff. And of that amount, 5,416 families, or close to 50% of those impacted by the bill, are already working at least 40 hours a week. The initial eligibility for child care benefits wouldn't change under this bill, but in the long run, the legislation will help to break the cycle of dependency on government benefits for these parents who are receiving assistance, therefore lightening the expected burden on the state's limited resources. At this time, I'd like to introduce the other prime sponsor of the bill, Representative Tom Murt. And Representative Murt, microphone's yours.
Thank you very much for being here today. Before I read my remarks, I just want to make a couple observations. First of all, this is a bipartisan policy proposal that's been born and it's been conceived out of compassion and out of empathy for our families in Pennsylvania who struggle to care and support their children and their loved ones. We're searching for a better way to help these families who struggle, and I believe our proposed legislation accomplishes that objective. I wish to thank Representative Reed for joining me to serve on his poverty initiative with my colleague and my friend, Representative Steve Bloom, and tasking us to serve on the Benefits Subcommittee. I also want to thank Brianda Froistat of the Leader's Office for her excellent work in drafting this legislation. In our attempt to help families in need, government often crafts laws that have unintended consequences. There is not a member in the House of Representatives who is not committed to helping Pennsylvanians who are struggling to escape poverty. We are just as committed to changing laws that dissuade parents from finding private sector employment due to lost government benefits. The reality is that too many programs have built-in disincentives, which lead to individuals deciding to reject a job promotion or work more hours because it would reduce their public benefits. The legislation we are introducing is designed to smooth those so-called benefit cliffs so parents do not lose benefits as soon as they reach certain income limits. Under our legislation, co-payments are slowly and gradually reduced as parents earn additional income. When they reach the current benefit cliff, instead of being cut off from their benefits, they will remain eligible for the subsidy program, albeit at a lower level. As a parent earns more money, their level of responsibility for child care will grow, but gradually until their incomes become self-sustaining enough to cover the total amount of that care. This is done by extending eligibility for the program from 235% to 300% of the federal poverty level. Likewise, co-payment amounts are increased at a consistent and financially responsible rate. But just as important, parents will be rewarded for working additional hours. We plan to increase the deductions for co-payments as parents work more hours, and that will encourage full-time employment over part-time work. The proposed legislation will not only remove the current disincentive to work, but will simultaneously alter the subsidy to co-payment structure to encourage individuals to work additional hours through co-payment discounts. Because the federal government allows a great deal of flexibility in designing child care programs, this cost can be completely covered by the federal Child Care Development Block Grant and unused funds returned from the Department of Human Services. I encourage all of my colleagues to join our campaign to reform a system that's unintentionally discouraging work and hurting families. Thank you very much, and my colleague, Representative Bloom, will introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Representative Murt. And we have several organizations that have representatives here to share with us about their perspectives on this legislation. And first, we're going to hear from Kristen Rotz, the president of the United Way of Pennsylvania.
A good job benefits more than the job holder. It benefits his or her family, their neighborhood, and their entire community. When we're on solid financial ground, we're more likely to have access to good quality health care, provide a good education for our kids, and contribute to our local economy. That's why United Way leverages the generosity of our donors to focus on lasting income solutions that go beyond charity. United Ways and their funded agencies work on a variety of programs that help lift families out of poverty, including workforce training partnerships, mentoring, early childhood education, after-school and summer programs. We want to help people build skills and the education necessary to get, keep, and advance in a good job. That's why I am so happy to be here today to support these needed changes to the child care subsidy, which will also advance United Way's work on income stability in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's current child care subsidy is a barrier to financial stability for many working families. That's because an incremental increase in weekly wages of 4% can translate into 122% increase in out-of-pocket costs for child care. It forces low-wage earners to choose between an increase in pay or the ability to pay their child care provider. The long-term benefit of job advancement is overruled by the immediate need for a working parent to make sure their children have safe and healthy child care and their children are well cared for. United Way believes that smoothing the child care subsidy cliff to gradually decrease state support for families up to 300% of the federal poverty level will remove one of the most significant barriers to income stability. Working parents can increase their incomes while also becoming incrementally more responsible for the costs of their child's care. In many counties in Pennsylvania, the income required for a single parent to meet basic household needs is slightly more than 200% of the federal poverty level. However, when a family's wages are 300% or more of the federal poverty level, they turn a quarter from just getting by to basic economic security. They may have access to employer-sponsored health insurance and are able to begin to save money and build assets, two indicators which increase a family's likelihood of long-term financial sustainability. United Way of Pennsylvania commends Representative Bloom and Representative Murt for introducing a bill that tackles a problem our members have identified as one of the most common barriers to income stability. We are also grateful to Representative Reed for his leadership to examine issues impacting people in poverty and identify policy barriers that can be removed to help more hardworking Pennsylvanians achieve financial independence and live their American dream.
Thank you, Kristen. And next we'll hear from Nate Benefield, who is the Vice President of the Commonwealth Foundation.
Thank you, Steve. Imagine you're a single mother with two kids working as an assistant manager for a retail department store, earning $47,000 a year. Your boss offers you a promotion to become a full manager, with a raise of $1,000. And you're honored, but your heart sinks when you actually look at the numbers and realize that raise will cost you at least $6,000 in child care subsidies because your income is now too high to qualify. Reluctantly, you thank your boss, but explain you can't accept that promotion. Now, this is a hypothetical situation, but for many families, it's all too real. All of us here today can agree on the need for a social safety net. But unfortunately, many of our well-intentioned programs we've created have unintended consequences, specifically a benefits cliff, which discourages work and punishes success. At this cliff, families can lose tens of thousands of dollars in subsidies and benefits if they earn just $1 more through work. Too many families are trapped in a broken welfare system, and it's time for a change. So I want to thank Representative Bloom and Representative Murt for putting together this legislation, and to Representative Reed and his staff for their work on this poverty initiative. I want to commend all of those who contributed through this process and through the poverty initiative for identifying the benefits cliff as a barrier to success, including those lawmakers who are now working towards providing solutions. Our social service programs should reward and encourage success, not penalize it. By offering incentives for work and by smoothing the benefit structure, we can help move more families from poverty into prosperity. As lawmakers move forward with this proposal, we have an opportunity here to bring attention to the issue of the benefits cliff problem in childcare and in many other programs. Hopefully this initiative itself can become a model for reform, not only in Pennsylvania, but across the country and in Washington, D.C., where so many of the mandates come down that create these barriers to success. I want to applaud all of these reform efforts to develop a social safety net that not only meets the immediate needs of families, but rewards them for working. In short, these reforms help offer a pathway to prosperity. Thanks.
Thank you, Nate. Next, we'll hear from John Raber, who is from the Franklin County Circles Program from the Community Action Association, and John is the coordinator. John?
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. We at Community Action in Circles would like to thank House Majority Leader Dave Reed, Representative Steve Bloom, and Representative Tom Murt for all the work you and your staff have done in an effort to create Gateways Out of Poverty policy initiatives and this bill. Thank you for working with us and many other organizations across the state as you work to understand the implications of the cliff effect. Thank you for partnering with us, taking the time to hear firsthand, holding roundtable discussions with community leaders to understand the issues as you seek to create effective policy. The work you do and the policies you create are so important and will impact thousands of hardworking Pennsylvanians. So thank you. At Community Action and Circles, we see the impact of policy on individuals, on families, and our local communities. We are working hard to empower families, to engage communities to pursue innovative and effective solutions so that people can actually break this cycle of poverty and build economic security. We see the realities of the cliff effect on a regular basis as parents are forced to choose between taking a raise or a better job and the ability to provide for their children. These things should not be in conflict. Hardworking families should be able to build economic security, not be trapped in reliance on government assistance. We are excited to support this bill as it will greatly impact our community efforts and anti-poverty initiatives. This bill is a crucial piece of the puzzle, a start at creating policy to eliminate the cliff effect. Think about the possibilities. With this bill, hardworking Pennsylvanians will be able to keep that raise, keep that better job, and see the increase in spending power. They will be able to keep moving in the right direction towards economic sustainability. That means stronger families, healthier children dreaming about their future, which means lower dropout rates at our schools, more resources being put back into our local communities. The list goes on. More people living to a fuller potential. This bill is a great opportunity for Pennsylvania, the keystone state of America, to lead the way in developing policy that creates a way for thousands of our citizens to become economical sustainability and a better future for our children. Thank you, and God bless.
And at this time, Representative Murt and myself will be available to take questions from media. We thank all the folks who spoke today. Angela? Angela, good question. And how does the current system work? The benefits do start to trail off, but then there is literally this cliff effect, and they just stop. And the cliff is the perfect image to describe what that is. And so a person may be making $1 more, 50 cents more, and yet just for that tiny little raise, they lose all their child care benefits. So it's not tapered. And the idea of this bill is to smooth it out so the person always has an incentive to earn more. And once they can do that, they can gradually work their way entirely off the system.
You asked a good question, Angela, and John articulated it very well, where we get to a certain point and a family has to make a decision. Do I accept this raise, promotion, more hours, more economic benefits, or do I lose my child care? And it's an unfair choice to ask a family in the Commonwealth to make. So I hope we answered your question.
Charlie?
I understand that you feel like the cost can be covered without
Yeah, the question is concerning what would the additional cost be of implementing this legislation. On the order of $10 to $12 million is the estimate, but as I understand it, much of that would actually be available to draw down from federally available funds. And again, the part of this, that one of the parts about this I find exciting is that long term, we would actually be able to reduce reliance on that system. So there might be some short-term additional spending, but long term, as families free themselves from this dependency, we would actually have a lesser burden to carry. All right, well, thank you very much for being here, and we're done.